Alright, I got this Coachman Forest River. It's pretty big. 8,548 pounds, dry weight, 36 foot 10 inches. It's probably the biggest one I've pulled yet. I don't see any damage on it, except for windows a little bit dirty. I think that's all it is up there. Almost looks like a bird or something hit it, or maybe there was a sticker. A sticker there. Overall, just a little dirty for the parking lot. It's really dirty. Got my battery hooked up. It's always the good thing to do is keep some extra zip ties, because I had to cut that because it wouldn't reach the battery. And then you can re-zip tie stuff, but everything is good. I don't know what's going on here. I think it's just a gap. That's normal for the back slide here. Everything else looks good. So I got a slide in the back here. Put my plate on. It's a beefy trailer, big outdoor kitchen area. Another big slide here. Big two awnings. I don't see any damage though. Fenders look good. A little scratch here, it looks like. Other than that, everything looks good. Do a quick. But yeah, it's a big trailer. 37 foot, over 8,500 pounds, two slides. It was stuck in the mud. I'm going to attach a picture at the end. Alright, so I got this big 37 foot travel trailer on, a little over 8,500 pounds dry weight. I hope this trip starts going better. It's been rough so far. I stopped for fuel in Elkhart, and I was going to go to the Casey's, and then I saw the Mobile across the street was 10 cents a gallon cheaper, so I pulled over there, and it was like the world's slowest pump, so I do not recommend going there even for the 10 cents a gallon less. I let it fill up to 3/4 of a tank and just stopped it. I think I was already there for like 10 minutes. And they don't take the open roads card. I don't think there's anywhere in Elkhart that does. Maybe the Loves, but it's not as convenient to get to where I'm going. So I was paying, I think, like $3.70 a gallon, so I figured I'd just stop it at 75% full, 3/4 of a tank, and I'll just fill up in Wisconsin, where I'll get it for probably 75 cents a gallon cheaper. And that station was pretty ratty. Like, I grabbed a receipt and held on to it just in case I get some bad fuel or something. Looked like they were all out of 89, 93. For those people filling up with gas, all they offered was, they had one diesel pump in the 87. So I won't be going back there. Learned my lesson on that one. Got to pick up this trailer. I found it fairly quickly, especially because I really wasn't sure what I was looking for. Never pulled this model before. But it had sunk into the mud because of how like warm and wet it was last week. And then it hardened and froze. And I'll attach a picture, but I figured, I was like, well, if I saw it was sunk, but I was like, it'll probably break loose once I lower it down onto the truck and start raising the jack up. No, it pretty much bottomed out my truck, and it wasn't breaking loose from the ground. So then I tried to like tug it a little bit with my truck just to see if I could loosen it, but I didn't want to bust the tongue jack, so I didn't push that. So luckily I have like an actual jack in my truck that I carry. Highly recommend carrying a jack. This is, I think, the first time I've had to use it. But I jacked up the tongue of the trailer until it broke loose from the ground. But I'll tell you, like, my jack almost didn't do it. it was maxing out my 3-ton jack trying to get the tongue up because it was like cement on the ground, and then when it broke loose, I'll attach a picture, but it was actually kind of violent when it broke loose. So like I said, luckily I had that. Otherwise, I don't think I could have got it out of there without damaging the actual tongue. I was gonna go because they've got like office support, and it looks like I've never been inside the building, but it looks like they have like a mechanic shop in there or something. They have a large overhead door. So I was gonna go see if they had like a forklift or anything that they could like pick it up with. But luckily I didn't have to bother them with that. Got it out of the mud. But then I couldn't get the tongue to lock down because there was ice buildup in it. So I had to beat that with a wrench to get it to break the ice loose. Finally got that done, and then I couldn't get the door to lock because it was probably frozen too. So eventually I got that to lock, just working it loose. But you gotta be careful with that because you don't want to break the key off in the lock. But yeah, so not the best start to the trip. However, I did leave early today. I left my house about 5:45 this morning, and I was able to get down here, and I got to go to our storage lot, which I've said in other videos saves me 15 to 20 minutes easily each way. So that was nice, picking up at the storage lot. I'm on the road, and it's 9. I'm already on the highway, and it's 9:40 Elkhart time. I'm gonna be up in. I'm taking this up to Madison. I'll be up there probably around like 12:30, which will put me home before like 3 o'clock. So I have one going to Suamico, which is further. Probably wouldn't have been a bad idea for me to do that one today because I got an early start, but I'm trying to get back to get my mom home because they're calling for like an ice storm tonight, potentially. So obviously I want to get dropped and back, but then I also want my mom to get home because she's got about a 45 minute to an hour drive home from my house. So she's watching my girls today. So yeah, I figured I'd take the shorter run. Although by the time I monkeyed around with this trailer, getting it up, broke loose and stuff, I probably am not saving much time going to Madison versus Green Bay area. But it is what it is. We'll get this delivered. Not expecting to get great mileage pulling this thing because it's tall, big, heavy. Right now I'm reading just over 9 miles a gallon, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully I can get that up over 10, especially because I didn't leave with a full tank, but I'm trying to get up into Wisconsin where I can get fuel for cheaper. Ideally I'd get this dropped, then stop for fuel, but I'm not sure if that's going to work out or not. We'll see. I do have another load already dispatched, which will be my third one of the week. I'm thinking I'll run it tomorrow. The only thing is I got to take my dog to the vet, so if I do, it'll probably be like a late run where I leave a little later, get home later. So I'll probably be doing like a nighttime drop in Green Bay, but that's not a problem. The only other thing I had to worry about is if we do actually get this ice that they're calling for, if it affects travel tomorrow, there's a chance maybe I'll just push that delivery off until Friday. I'm going to kind of see what the weather does. I'd really like to get one done tomorrow so that I can do a fourth one on Friday, because I'm not sure that I can do one over the weekend or not. And I would like to get 4 loads in, especially because 2 of the 3 this week are not as high paying loads. So like last week with 3 loads, it wasn't bad because I still did over 2,000 gross for 3 days of work, but the current loads I think would put me at just under 1,800 gross, which is fine. But if I could get back up, like I strive to hit the 2,000 gross every week or higher. I don't really have a need or a reason for it, but I guess it just makes me feel better, feel more productive. But we'll kind of see how the week plays out and go from here. But I'll get this delivered. Hopefully I don't run into any weather today, and I'm hoping that my mile per gallon goes up, but it looks like it's going the opposite way. But I was doing about for 70. It's not that windy. But, you know, if I kick it down to like 60, 65, then I'm going to get a lot better mile per gallon. So we'll kind of see how it goes. All right, I got the unit delivered up in Madison. Pretty uneventful drive. A little bit of wind, but nothing too crazy. Did not do well on fuel with that large trailer. I think I ended up just over 10 miles per gallon. But even with only filling up to 75% fuel in Elkhart, I was able to make it up to Madison. Still had about 20% left. I could have made it home, but I took advantage of the cheaper fuel up there and I filled up. I think I paid $3.10 a gallon right there by Madison versus the $3.70 I paid in Indiana. So something to keep in mind if you can avoid filling up in like Indiana, Chicago, and you can make it up into Wisconsin, you're going to save 50, 60, sometimes more than that a gallon, which when you're filling up, my tank's 48 gallons, so when you're saving 50 cents, you're saving about 24, 25 bucks if you're filling up a whole tank. But obviously if you have a fuel transfer tank, 100 gallons or something like that you can hold, your savings are that much more. And when you're doing this line of work, the more money you can save, the more money that's in your pocket. So just definitely something to keep in mind. I think a lot of people, especially like if you're not in this line of work, and maybe you're thinking about getting into it, not used to watching fuel prices, but it's important to watch it. Just to keep that extra money in your pocket, make you more profitable when doing this line of work. They did inspect it, which it went pretty good though. I was in and out fairly quick. Nice lady that works there, she came out, did the inspection. A little bit chilly out, but other than that, good. I'm gonna make it back in total from the time I left to the time I left my house to the time I get back home. I'm not going straight home, I'm going to go to the gym, but it's right in my town. Total gone 9 hours, maybe like 9 hours 15 minutes, but I ended up stopping twice for fuel, where normally I don't do that. And then I did get held up for 10 minutes. There was a pretty bad accident on 20 going into Indiana there, semi-truck accident, so I had to get rerouted down a side road, so I lost about 10 minutes there. But $570 is what it pays, 9 hours of work, about $100 in fuel total that I use up between deadhead and loaded. So I think I go through, I'm going to spend about $10 in tolls, so call it like $450 from leftover after tolls and fuel. Obviously you gotta look at maintenance and things like that, but I think for a 9-hour day total, $450 pocketed is pretty good. $570 gross. It's not pay like you're a doctor or a lawyer, but if you break that down per hour, even your take home, you're looking at about $50 an hour, which works out pretty nice, especially when you consider just the fact that you're doing very little physical labor. I literally been just listening to podcasts while I'm driving, so pretty enjoyable from that end of it. It can get a little tiring, probably by the time I get home, especially tomorrow if I run a third load in a row, 3 days in a row driving, call it 1,500 miles between those 3 days, maybe a little bit more. You do get pretty tired, but it's probably no more tiring than doing a different line of work. But I think pay worked out pretty well. Not all loads are going to be quite as profitable, but most of the time, it works out where my gross pay is around $50 an hour. This one worked out where my net pay is closer to 50. So, but yeah, I mean, I try to gross about 50 an hour, depending on what the load pays and how long it takes to get there and stuff like that. I could have slowed. I set the cruise at about 70 today. Kept it at 70 pretty much the whole drive. I think I mentioned earlier, if you cut it down to like 65, 60, you can significantly increase your miles per gallon, especially with like a large trailer like I was pulling today. So depending on your schedule and things like that, if you're okay with running a little bit slower, you could net a little higher because you're going to save on fuel. Long term, it's probably going to save a little bit on the wear and tear of the vehicle, things like that. So just another thing to keep in mind when thinking about the RV transport. Still don't know for sure what I'm going to do tomorrow. Probably going to see if I can just reschedule my dog's appointment so that I can leave out early, because I do have a longer run tomorrow, which I'm going up to Green Bay. That load pays $700, but I'm probably going to be gone for about 11 hours tomorrow. And if I take my dog to his appointment, I probably wouldn't even be leaving my house until about 11, which would put me home around midnight. Or no, 11 would put me home around 10 p.m. So I'm just going to talk that over with my wife, see what she wants to do. I don't mind doing it that way. I just, I won't be home before my kids go to bed and stuff. So, but it's been a long time since I've ran a night load like that, so it wouldn't be the end of the world. The other option I was thinking about is if I wake up extra early, I could run down to Indiana, get it, stop home, take care of the vet appointment, and then hook back up and keep going. The only downside would be I would have to unhook and then rehook back up, and that doesn't take that long. So that's an option. I'd probably have to leave my house around like maybe 4